Why are so many middle-class families declaring bankruptcy? Let's find out. The current economic system is rigged against the middle class, and things are only getting worse. Let's understand why this is happening and what we can do about it. Back in the 50s, 60s, and 70s, only one parent had to work to provide enough for a family. Seems hard to believe now, doesn't it? But whether we realize it or not, our wages have been stagnant or even declining for the last 5 decades. Our economy became less about working people and more about working businesses. Large corporations, banks, and eventually hedge funds became the columns of power, making all the laws and wreaking havoc with our economy for the middle class. 2-income wage-earning families with credit card debt and student loans became the new norm. And much of the money earned from these middle-class families over the last 50 years was eaten up by daycare, schooling, skyrocketing housing, and, again, debt. The mandatory addition of a second income earner in the household back in the early 80s only made this decline happen quicker. Because now families don't have a financial cushion between themselves and bankruptcy. That's why so many bankruptcies are happening. In the past, if the family breadwinner got laid off or sick and couldn't go to work, the one staying at home could step up and take care of that sick person and perhaps get a part-time job to help pay the bills. But now that both parents are working, that option has been taken off the table. And because of that, and expenses going up with daycare and student debt, there's not very much standing between the average couple and an emergency causing bankruptcy. We don't have many options to fall back on anymore. And that's why when I travel in the car nowadays, I hear all these advertisements saying how you can apply for bankruptcy.
If you need to declare bankruptcy, just call 1-800.
This is not what we want. And this is a very stark and scary statistic. But families with children in the United States are 3 times more likely to go bankrupt than families without children. That's just the facts. Struggling families are running out of options, and something needs to be done. So how did the laws of one of the richest countries in the world allow this to happen? Well, it's obvious. Middle-class families aren't the ones making the laws. Any economy that doesn't promote middle-class families having children to make sure there is a viable future generation will not survive. That's just simple math. Middle-class families are not willingly voting for their own mass extinction, but yet at the same time that extinction is occurring. The inequality gap between the wealthy and the poor is expanding, and the middle class is disappearing completely. The United States is one of the very few wealthy countries in the entire world that doesn't give paid off or maternity leave to working parents. Why not? Having a child in the US in the 2000s is already financially difficult enough. Why can't young families get a needed boost? Young couples are struggling just to pay for housing, living expenses, and student debt. And then if you add a child into the mix and juggling all the responsibilities that come with that child, that may seem like an insurmountable obstacle. So many millennials are putting off having children, and many millennials may not have children at all. 2-income households where both people are working 40 to 50 hours a week need to have the ability to live a comfortable life. That only makes sense. Our health care, our housing, our student loan debt, our wealth inequality, these are some of the things that are tearing us apart. The United States may go the way of many societies in the past and become nothing more than a few lines written in a history book if something isn't done. Let's hope this doesn't happen. Let's work to elect government officials who will bring about real change, and let's get involved ourselves to make sure there is hope for future generations, and we can turn this around. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please give us a like and subscribe. And as always, we'll see you next time on Shine 365.